So it's time for chapter 20. We are like almost done. I can't believe this. The wife's loneliness, overcoming a lack of oneness. And I'm just going to go off my notes here. It said wives who have husbands but feel alone. Yeah, there were just the first thing that stuck out to me, that yes, loneliness is a very painful feeling, and you know, some people are alone so they're lonely, but there's wives that have husbands and they still feel alone. Maybe the husband's withdrawn, maybe he's aloof, maybe he's hardly home, maybe he's just selfish and self-centered and doesn't think about meeting her needs at all. A wife may feel bitter, pity party, sorry for herself, or viewing intimacy as an idol with her husband, like that oneness as an idol. And then she goes into examples of Elijah and Jeremiah and Christ, and how biblical examples of loneliness. And what stuck out to me so much was the example she gave about Christ. You know, right away before I even read it, I was like, on the cross. That is the ultimate moment of loneliness in the history of life and the world. It's when Christ was alone because God the Father turned his face away from him, because he was he took upon himself the sins of the world. And so you can't mix sin with holiness, and so God the Father turned away and he was alone for the first time in eternity. And so that was such a profound example to me. I thought that was amazing. I've never really stopped to think about that. Then she goes into sinful causes of loneliness in these charts. I love her charts. They're always so good because they contrast sinful thoughts with biblical thoughts. And so this one's sinful causes of loneliness and biblical cures for loneliness. And so I can read a couple of them. The wife is withdrawn and aloof from her husband. Perhaps she is expecting her husband to do for her what only God can do. She may be withdrawn and lonely because of guilt over some sin in her life, or perhaps she is bitter towards her husband or God. So there's many reasons why a wife might be withdrawn. It might be bitterness. It might be, you know, putting these expectations on your husband. You want him to read your mind, which is silly and ridiculous, and wrong. Or guilt over past sin. And a biblical cure for this example in particular: repent of the specific sins, seek refuge in God through prayer and meditation on his word, show love to her husband whether she feels like it or not, be open and honest with him, speaking edifying words, clear her conscience, and then continue to do what is right, draw near to God. I feel like most of the chapters that we've covered, or all the chapters that we've covered, there's really small ways that they can apply, like little things, like, you know, after you have a conflict and then you don't feel like that unity, oneness, and you withdraw yourself, or the other extreme, because that's tiny, that can be cured in one day. Hey, please stop that, boys. Please stop. That can be cured in just one day, in 30 minutes, one conversation. But something more extreme, like just the pattern, the way of life in your home, that is bigger, more extreme example. So this chapter can apply to both and everything in between. You know, I feel like the whole book is like that, which is really good. And then there's some more examples. And then she has a chart of, let's see, sin often results in isolation. I wrote that. Another cause of loneliness is idolatrous desire for intimacy. And there's another chart about that. Idolatrous desires for intimacy. The wife has her heart set on her husband meeting her need for intimate companionship, which is a good thing, but when it's taken to an idealistic level,